What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Benjamin Riccardi with Ironclad Restoration Marketing, and we help restoration contractors get more sales just by getting their internet marketing right. Now, speaking about internet marketing, there's a ton of options out there when it comes to getting leads for your business and really getting that visibility that we talk about with our omni-channel approach. So today, we're going to talk a lot about one of the channels that has been killing it for our clients. One of the channels that if you are not leveraging for your restoration business or any home service business for that matter, you're really missing out on a very big opportunity to increase your lead flow. And we are fortunate enough today to be joined by two, not one, but two experts when it comes to digital marketing and specifically Google Guaranteed or the Google LSA program. And I'm even more excited to bring these two guests on today because they are actually some of my key players here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing. If you're a client, you may know these names, you may know the faces. If you're not a client, I'd love for you to get to know. Please help me welcome JC and Yaz from Ironclad Restoration Marketing to the podcast. Guys, thank you so much for finally after me hounding you guys for all this time. JC's probably been like 4 years. I've been trying to get you to hop on and do something like this with me. I know that you guys are always so busy with our clients and trying to figure out all the new updates and everything that's happening with Google and trying to keep on top of everything, which is a whole full-time job in itself. So I can't thank you enough. I know the audience is going to get a ton out of this episode. So guys, thank you for coming on with me today.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So before we dive in, because people who are watching this or just listening in, I'd like to get them to get to know you guys a little bit more, right? We want to qualify you because I did bring you in and I kind of set the bar high and I called you experts in digital marketing, which you absolutely are. So we'll start with you, JC. Can you just give the audience a little bit of your background, who you are, and really specifically what you do here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing?
Sure. So I've been involved with the digital marketing agency for over 20 years now, which seems like forever. From the wild west SEO days of keyword stuffing and black hat backlinks, kind of run through the gamut and then some. But I worked for a few digital marketing agencies over the years, but I partnered up with Ben. I can't believe this, 9 years now, right?
Wow. I'm so old now.
It feels like only like 3 years, but over at Ironclad, so I overlook the team to make sure everybody is, doing what they need to do, stay on deadlines and moving forward. And just at the end of the day, making sure our clients are getting the best possible results, because at the end of the day, they want that phone ringing. With leads. So, and also, I work on business development and sales and make sure that we're getting some new clients to help. And that's it.
Yeah, no, JC, and you probably could have went on for about 3 hours for all the things that you do here. So listen, I really appreciate it. I know our clients really appreciate you. Your no BS approach to helping them get the results that they need.
Can we curse on this?
What's that?
Can we curse?
Oh, hell yeah. We're only allowed 4 F words per episode, and then I got to put a discllaimer on it.
We can't monetize it on YouTube then.
Yeah, we're not going to make what. There's a good chance our tens of followers are not going to get offended by anything that we have to say. However, we do have a couple people that I've met in my travels that listen to it that actually think their kids like this, which is odd, but really cool and kind of refreshing that people want to listen to me blabber on every day, or maybe it's just they come on for the guests and they get disappointed when it's just me. So, hey kids, we got a special episode today. We got a couple extra people. Now, last but certainly no way, shape or form, at least, we have Yaz, key player here at Ironclad. Yaz, same deal as JC. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background, who you are, and then what you do here for us at Ironclad.
Awesome. Yeah, my name is Yasmin Raigada. Everybody calls me Yas, so feel 100% comfortable with that. I've been working with the guys for over a year now, but I've been in the industry for about 12. So same thing, I started when everything was just SEO, keywords, and whatever. But then I started specializing with them, teaching me and went by myself as well with all Google Ads, LSA, and whatnot. I'm originally from Peru, so any Spanish speakers, you're welcome to ask me any questions if you have any. And I'm just living here in Florida now and being part of the team and trying to help everybody with the account managing and how you want to re-strategize anything that is necessary if the case comes to be.
Yeah, thank you. And again, Yaz, another one of those, what you do here at Ironclad that could have lasted like 6 hours. I know we all wear a lot of hats, and it's funny because a lot of times when I do these recordings, we do the in-person speeches, with the TED Talks for Ironclad, we talk about businesses being like amateur plate spinners, right? So we've all got all these plates spinning at the same time. But at the end of the day, the general theme between both of you guys is our job, and myself included here, is to make sure that we're providing the best possible results for our clients when it comes to digital marketing for the restoration business. And I can't thank you guys enough for what you do for us. And I know our clients are super thankful for the journey that we're able to become on together. So let's get down to it, right? We spoke beforehand a little bit about this, and we talked about something that we all wanted to come on and talk about on this episode that I think is going to provide the most value. We want to kickstart you guys coming on the podcast with a bang. So today we want to talk about one of the channels that you should be focusing on to make sure that you're getting a steady lead flow for your business, and that is Google's LSA program. And I know Yaz was gracious enough to actually even put together a quick deck. So today's episode is going to be for everybody. Okay. It's not just for people that don't know what LSA is. It's not going to be for the guys that are running LSA and they're killing it. It's for everybody. We're going to take a step back with Yaz's deck. We're going to walk you guys through, what LSA really is. Yaz and JC are going to tag team this a little bit together, I believe. What it is, some things that you need to make sure that you're checking off as far as what you need to be doing to really leverage it properly. You're not just wasting money, or you've got an agency running your LSA for you, just not getting any results. Hopefully today we'll be able to dispel a lot of that and then shed some light on some of the ways that you can optimize and kind of hack your LSA to make sure you're getting optimal results. And if Yaz, you are ready to go, I want to turn you loose. And everybody, if you're just listening to this on Spotify or Apple or Google or all the other weird podcast channels that we may be on, go ahead and I implore you to check out our YouTube page for the Restoration Rundown podcast. We will have a replay of this on the Ironclad Restoration Marketing YouTube as well, because we do have a really cool deck, and we will make that available at the end of this episode for you to download right off our website. So Yaz, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and add your beautiful little presentation here. And if everybody can see it, drop a number 1 in the chat. 1, that's good enough. 1 person can see it. So I'm ready to go. Yaz, take it away whenever you are ready.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, thank you for the intro. And basically, if you have already a Google Ads account, you can absolutely sign with the same Gmail, go into ads.google.com/local services, and you can get started right away. What we will cover today is a little bit of, we already did the about us. We're going to do a little bit of what is specifically local services ads, how to set it up, and how to optimize it to make it better, how to manage it yourself, how you can make it improvements every time you have something going on as a storm. I don't know if you can hear it, but definitely it's on my background. So that's important. The about us, we can absolutely see it when we share the screen. But JC, can you tell us a little bit more, because you have way more experience on what it is about and how to compare them between the other platforms?
And let me interject a little bit, JC. When you're doing this, I want you to kind of walk everybody through why we even started working with local service ads. These have been around for a while, but this is widely, massively adopted. It hasn't always been that case. So walk us through a little bit of that too, while you're explaining to our audience what Google local service ads are.
Sure. So LSA, or local service ads, or Google Guaranteed, now it's been around for, I would say, about 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
It was in beta for only select service-based industries for quite a bit, but now it's out of beta, and especially when it comes to home services, specifically within our lane, which is restoration, specifically water damage, mold, fire and smoke, and so forth. It's been very effective. So what it is, so the easiest way to describe what that is thinking about in terms of that homeowner. There's been a hurricane or flooding, and their roof is leaking. What they're going to do is they're going to go to their phone, can't even see it, and do a search for example, water damage restoration in their specific city. Now, the first thing they're going to see, and if you look at the screenshot over here, and again, most people are going to do a search on their phone, and the first ads they will see is the local service ads or Google Guaranteed. And it's sort of like, when it comes to attention, you want to be in the front line of where that attention is. If an emergency, situation comes about, are they going to go to TikTok? Are they going to go to Facebook? No, they're going to go to Google. And keep in mind, Google still has over 90% of the market share when it comes to all things search. So this is why we focus so much on Google. But again, the biggest difference as far as local service ads, besides being the first thing that shows up in the Google search, is you only pay for the qualified leads. All right. And Yaz is going to walk through all the details of that. And as opposed to, and keep in mind, this is all part of the Google ad platform, which you have the search text ads where you're bidding on keywords, YouTube ads you can run there, remarketing. But LSA is within that world of Google ads. But the platforms are very different between the way you manage it and versus managing Google ads.
So I want to take a step back, JC, because we want to speak to everybody a little bit more, and it's great information there. But we see this a lot. When people just don't understand, if we talk to a potential client or even past clients, given history in their digital marketing ad spends or spends in general, they just don't understand the breakdown of a Google search, right? And I do this ad nauseum, to try to teach everybody, like, hey, there's a difference between your Google ads, which is the first thing that people see, and then the map section and organic. But more so with the Google Guarantee being above Google Ads. Can you walk everybody through the differences and maybe the tactics that are used and trying to demystify that a little bit between organic maps and then the Google Guarantee program?
Sure. So, right underneath the LSA ads or Google Guaranteed is the Google ads, specifically the search text ads, meaning the ads where you bid on keywords, which works great. We'll do another, podcast about that down the road. Below that are the Google map listings where you see all of the Google business profiles. Below that is the organic section. All right. And that is you'll see now, actually, from what I'm hearing right now, Google's going to go back to pages instead of the live scroll.
Yeah. Nice.
Is the latest word on the street. So,
okay.
Again, this is the as far as our overall approach is, you may have heard it from Ben's previous podcast, is the omni-channel approach, meaning we want to get our clients, as much real estate, within that Google's landscape between LSA, maps, Google search text ads, and organic. All right, because there's too much noise online and everybody has ADD now. So, you don't know where they're going to go. So the more real estate you can get on Google, the better, versus back in the day, you could just run, Google ads when you needed to get some jobs and call it a day. No, those days are long gone.
So in terms of the Google ad platform, listen, everybody, these are both Google ads, right? You're managed through the Google ads platform. But the main difference, just to reiterate what JC and Yaz are talking about, is your Google ads, your traditional pay-per-click, if you will, you're paying per click, right? And LSA is you're actually paying for that lead that is coming into your business, which they're both great. Again, it comes down to real estate. So budget permits, we should be attacking both of those channels. But I feel like you're going to get a little bit better of an ROI from LSA and our experience lately. And obviously that changes with how many times Google updates their algorithm. But JC, I appreciate that background information on LSA and the differences in between that and the pay-per-click. The main one being it's a pay-per-lead platform. And the difference between that and Angie's List is these are qualified leads that you vetted versus just random people calling you that might have called 20 different contractors, right? These people are calling you directly from a Google search. 9 times out of 10, when you see how stringent it is to get approved for this, when Yaz walked you through that, you're going to see why there are more qualified leads that are coming in and why the Google Guarantee, that guarantee word being the key thing. I know people want to fight against Google and they're mad at Google all the time for how much money they spend, but Google really is the one putting their necks out to guarantee that you are somebody that's going to be able to help them with their issues. So that's a little bit of the background. That's a little bit of the differences between LSA and the pay-per-click and organic versus maps. And we'll let you guys have the mic again.
All right. So when it comes to the setup of the entire system, it's part of the Google Ads. So same thing is ads.google.com, but the difference is local service at the end. So you have to have ready all the documentation, proof, and everything for you to set it up. Once you create this account, you have to upload the number of your IICRC in this case, because we are focused on restoration specifically. So you have to have the number ready. Now, it has happened sometimes that they don't find it, and then you have to go through customer service, and then you have to upload it or send it to a specific email. But that's a second step verification if they need to. If not, obviously, proof of insurance. If you're doing commercial, if you're doing the restoration, if you're doing something specific, it has to be mentioned there with your name or your company, with your address specifically. So these points are very critical for you to get approved within 48 hours if you fill out all the information right away. Background checks, they're going to send you through an evidence situation. So it's same thing, click away. It's just Gmail sending you a form that you have to answer specific questions to keep you safe. It's just to keep you real. It's just to keep everybody know that you are real, that you have a location, that you are there, and you're there to help them out. So it's a different step for your clients to see that you are a real deal. When it comes to Google reviews, they give you options, and sometimes you can do next, but just be very, very careful. I'm going to be very specific about that, because when you go through Google reviews, they will give you / any number of reviews, and you don't want to do that. You want to go through your Google business profile link verification. And again, it will take 48 hours in the worst case scenario, but you have to do it through the Google My Business. So that way, when you get reviews from everywhere, it's going to land here. And the more reviews you have, the more exposure you're going to have to the back end. So you want to be exposed all the time. You want those impressions to come in. You want the clicks to be shown first and foremost.
So I have a quick question to start to interrupt you just on that. So can you walk me through exactly what that on the setup process, where they're going to get hit with asking the option for using Google reviews or other, what are those two options that they're going to get? And when it comes to that side of it, just to make sure we reiterate how important it is to actually select the Google review part.
Right, exactly. So if you see on the screen, there is the certification, the IICRC. Yep. The second is the proof of insurance. The third one is the background check. The fourth one is customer reviews. So when you click on that one, before you get past, they will ask for a verification. And it will give you 1 and 2 options specifically. You want us to create a link for you? No, you want the Google My Business to be tied. So okay. It will give you a click away, and then they will ask you, do you want Google Business Profile to be allowed to be hooked up into the Google LSA? And that's when you say yes, and that's where you have to wait for the verification. But basically, that's how you do it.
Make sense? So just so you're out there, so the difference is you're going to either allow yourself to have to populate a whole new link to get more reviews, to get your thing certified. And I believe it may be different now, but you used to have at least 3. So we already know it's a huge challenge to get Google reviews already. So if you already have an optimized, built out, verified Google Business Profile, you have to select this option, because you want everything to flow through there. Because like Yaz said, the more reviews you have, the more optimized your LSAs are, the more results you're going to get.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then it comes to budget and bidding. Be realistic. Don't do $20,000 because you want to spend that amount of money on a weekly basis. Even if you are willing to do that, you have to be realistic. You have to start with 2 and then go back to 3 and then grow up to 4 and so forth, depending on the leads that you're receiving, that you're approving. Because not only is about getting them, you have to follow through with everything. And I will tell you about the optimization in a minute. But with the bidding and the budget, it's not per keyword, it's per lead. It is within your local industry or service areas, but you have to be realistic on how much you want to pay. Now, it varies in between $90 and $300, depending on where in the US you are, depending on what city of that state even you are. So they will give you the numbers specifically, how much you're bidding for that lead and whatnot. But be realistic with how much you want to spend on a weekly basis to begin with. Just this is a setup. We're not talking about the optimization. We're not talking about when you're getting or starting to get the leads. So you will get to it in a minute. When it comes to job types, obviously, if you want to do just water, try to do a small mold as well, and try to do, if you do a little bit of construction, more things. The more jobs you have, the more opportunity and impressions you're gonna get. Now, if you only want to spend the water, try to do most jobs at the beginning, and then when you start getting the leads, then you start filtering them out. So that way you only get to the water at some point, but you have to let Google do their thing. You have to let the algorithm work, and then you can be more selective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So you cast a wide net initially just to get some momentum going. And then the name of the game, and we talk about this all the time, this is part, LSA is just one of the parts of the 3-part, right? We need to drive leads, we need to convert them, and then we need to continue to optimize that ROI. So this is going to be one of those 3 steps. We just want to drive as many eyeballs as we can to your business. And, we can only speak for us managing your LSA. That's part of the game. We want to drive as much traffic there and then continuously, incrementally optimize these accounts and filter out things you might not want. You might want to, you might want to be more of, and it really gives you an idea to let you leverage your data to make marketing decisions versus how you feel things should be going, which is really difficult to do when you're dealing with Google because it's the almighty thing behind the curtain. We don't know everything about. All we can do is the best practices and follow along to their standards.
Yeah, that's 100% marketing. So once you do all the business verification and you are good to go, you see everything green, or maybe you're waiting on pending within the 48-hour mark, you can go to profile and you can start uploading the other 3 is the photos, the service areas, and the business hours. So the photos, you have to be very specific about that. Number 1, the better quality the picture, obviously, the more results are going to get you at the end of the day. Number 1. Number 2 is they have to be your photos. They have to be your trucks, your jobs, your before and after, your representation every single time. Now, there's a little bit of violations that you can do. For example, you cannot put a phone number within the images. So little things like that, obviously, because we've been doing it forever, we got to learn that as well. But I'm giving you those tips, FYI. When it comes to service areas, it could be all the way to 100 miles around. But obviously more proximity of where you are starting and where your office is, how far you want to drive. That's how they are going to understand it better. And then the business hours, if you restoration does 24/7, then put all day. Do not just limit yourself to business hours because, again, you're limiting yourself. So you don't want to do that. If you want to do it 24 hours, there is also an option for calls or messages. If you want to answer the calls during the weekends, phenomenal. If you are actually ready to answer the messages, then keep it on. But if you're not going to do it, actually they penalize you when you don't do it. So better keep it off if you're not going to do that. So those are the main things for the setup for the beginning, and then we can move on with the optimization. Do you have any questions? So far, so good.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch base and reiterate. So people that have listened to this for a while, you hear this now, talking about the photos, you've got to make sure that they are authentic, right? It's just like we're talking about with your Google business profile. We don't want to have stock photos. Everybody's got that picture, I think, of the lady and the guy looking up at their ceiling because the water's coming down from it. You can't use that. The whole point of Google sticking their neck out for you, the whole point of you uploading your IICRC documentation, doing an astringent background check, and listen, not everybody passes it. We've had clients that don't, and we have other people that haven't, and not really a way around it. Doing a background check, your COI, putting a proof of insurance, all that, you do not want to ruin that because you're not putting up good pictures. So if you're going to do this, do it optimally. Authentic pictures of your team, your trucks, as Yaz mentioned, can't have the phone number. Those are photo violations. All of these standards are clearly written on Google's on their best practices for the pros. So if you do your due diligence and you're going to do this yourself, just go through that list. It's not that difficult to stay within their standards. And the more photos you add, just like your Google business profile, the better you're going to convert and the better you're going to have a chance of you're having these ads actually go to somebody that wants to see it. So make sure you're doing all these things that Yaz just walked you through. Yaz, that was awesome for the setup. Thank you.
Absolutely, no problem. And then when it comes to the optimization, of course, you have to see a little bit of the ad rank. So like we said, we can have maybe 12 different competitors within the same rank as a name on a location specific. You know that it's going to happen. And it's not like Google Ads that you are beating all the time against that keyword specifically. It's more like, hey, you have to check what the competitors are doing, why they're getting better than you. Maybe they have more reviews. They did more reviews that week. things like that. They keep moving back and forth the needle when it comes to a daily. We know that Google changes every single hour of every single day, so all the time is going to be evolving, and the way you have to do it is evolve with it. You have to not set it and forget it, you have to actually maintain it. So that's the best way to optimize it. Check your competitors and check what you are doing. Again, Google reviews versus Google LSA. So the LSA reviews, not only the link of the setup at the beginning, but after the fact, when you're actually getting the lead and you're getting the job, ask for those reviews. If you are asking through the LSA app and you did the link, then you're going to have two different ways of doing reviews, and that's not ideal. You want to send everybody to the Google My Business, and that's why the Google reviews at the beginning was very important, because when you ask for those reviews after the job is completed, it's going to roll into both avenues, and that makes more sense for Google.
So you don't have two buckets of your review. So just backing up to the setup part, if you set this up and link it properly with your Google business profile that you have verified, you're going to be getting reviews. And these reviews, even if you get it from somebody that's not an LSA, are going to be a ranking factor for your ads moving forward. So more bang for your buck. You're squeezing more juice out of the lemon, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's critical for them. Absolutely. Yeah. The more you get it, it only comes to the third part because of responsiveness. Not only respond to the calls, respond to the messages, it's respond to the actual leads, archive them, book them. As for the reviews, you do complete the job. If you want to dispute that, now that this is the beautiful part about LSA, and we haven't mentioned it yet, is because those leads specifically, you can actually dispute them. So you can get that money back if that was a BS call or that was a real lead. So that's the key element to that one. And the more responsive you are, the quicker, the better. Then they see you working on it, they see you investing on it, they see you, and they put you higher on the rank. So it's all part of the same thing. So disputing bad leads is critical for you to maintain everything clean and for Google to see that you are actually listening to them, answering to them, and get that money back if you want, but keep the work going 24/7. That's the key part. Policy manager, again, photo violations, they're critical. Now, why is that set it and forget it? Because you're not supposed to just upload the pictures and then LSA and Google will change the algorithm in a week, and then you have another violation. So you have to go in there, double check them. If you have new jobs, put new pictures. If you have new tracks, put new things. If you have a team picture, put it in there, because they will understand that not only is the job that you are doing, but also the team that is going to help you and get into your home to make it better. So definitely those little things make sense for them and for you, and obviously for the clients at the end of the day. So they will get you more leads if you follow up with all of these optimization at the end of the day.
Yeah, they want to see that again, I can't reiterate this enough. Google is sticking their neck out for you with these Google here. As much as you think, hey, they just want to take our money, by them putting that green check next to your name and having you pop up number one, if you do these things correctly, they're putting their neck out for you, right? Because part of the guarantee part is if you provide a bad service or you have some issue with the customer, they're going to have to pay that bill. They're coming up with that money for you for the customer. So yeah, they're putting their neck out there. So the more you can optimize by being active, making sure, like Yaz mentioned, following up on your leads, archiving those leads, response time is huge. I think, 15 minutes, and then they'll kick it to somebody else. And if you continuously do that, like for instance, what Yaz said, if you're 24/7, you gotta walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk. If somebody's lead comes in, whether it's a message or a phone call, which majority comes phone calls, I would imagine. You got to get on that thing right away. And in general terms, as far as your processes go in your business, again, this is a reoccurring theme here with our episodes. You got to have the proper systems in place, right? So don't enact messaging on your Google business profile if you don't have anybody there that's going to answer that message. Same thing with live chat on your website. Don't put it on your website unless you have somebody on the other end ready to pick up a phone or a computer and message with your customers. We're in the disaster recovery response and disasters. These are things that happen, and typically, I don't know why it's the case, these things happen in the middle of the night most of the time, right? A lot of house fires, it's like you're sleeping, house catches on fire, a hurricane comes in the middle of the night. So make sure you're talking the talk and walking the walk more so, and update these photos on your LSA and your Google business profile, because it's showing that you are vested into this program, just like Google's vesting into you when you run this.
And another key element to that, and to add to it, Yes, you will have someone at the office answering the phones, and maybe you have someone in the computer just to do the follow through. But if you have the app and you click right away, you don't
Yeah.
have to have two different people doing that, but you could have two technicians answering the calls, a rollout. If you don't
Yep.
answer this one, I'll answer this one. If you answer that one, then I will follow up with the app and dispute them or archive them or yada yada. So that's definitely critical, and it's going to make it a lot better if you do it right away for them, for you, and definitely for Google.
Yeah, that's great. So optimize. So we got to learn. We learned a lot about the setup, and now we've learned how to actually get those things to rank by optimizing. Right, the second big part of that.
One thing out, in terms of responsiveness, meaning you don't want to let those calls go to voicemail. But if you're using an answering service, you got to make sure you train whoever it is answer the phones to know specifically, especially when it comes to water damage. They have to be very clear if they can provide that specific service, because if they don't, and they go, for example, a common thing, yes, here's it all the time, that she listens to the calls. I used to listen to calls in the beginning. Is they'll go, okay, we'll call you back. You know what? You're gonna get charged for that call. So, make sure that, you properly train whoever's doing the intake to make sure that, you run through and, yes, it's great about training, our clients and their teams, to let them know that, that's really a super important part of the whole process.
And just to back that up too, so when JC's talking about listening to the calls, we strongly and almost require call tracking with all of our clients. So whether it's we have call tracking that's set up on the website, and I know a lot of you, the restorers out there in construction in general, I deal with it all the time in my construction business. Like they've got this phone number and it's on their trucks, and they're really somehow just drawing the phone number. Well, it doesn't matter when it comes to the website. As long as that phone is going to call and ring into you, people aren't memorizing phone numbers anymore. They're not opening up the yellow pages. They're going to do a Google search, and whatever number comes up on the person that has the best reviews, that are knocked up that are on the Google guarantee, they've got a Google ad, they're ranking well in the map section, and they're in the organic section providing an answer to your problem. It doesn't matter what your phone number is. So I implore you, implement call tracking. You have to do it because when we come in with our clients, we listen to the calls to help you optimize your results. We can't control the calls that are coming in. No agency can. And if they could, they'd probably be dominating the whole entire industry. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. So part of the optimization process is having these processes in place to make sure that you're tracking the calls, you know where your dollars are being spent, and you also get the chance to listen to how your techs answer the phone at 4 a.m, maybe on a Saturday after going out on Friday after work for a couple of beers. So again, just to go back into that, just make sure that you have these processes in place, you're tracking these calls, and that you're responding to them right away. Call center wise, JC, it's funny you brought that up. We did talk about this. I had the gentleman from the Head, Hearts, and Boots podcast on, Floodlight Group, Chris and Brandon, with the company, because it is a big deal having these call centers now in the industry, not having any idea anything about the industry. You've got some person answering the phone and somebody goes, oh my God, I've got a flood. And they're like, and can you guys come out and help? And they're like, I don't know. I'll have to call you back, or no, is the big one. We've heard a lot of horror stories here with us. Back it up. We had a client do the same thing where they hired a new person. This was during business hours, answered the phone, asked a very specific pointed, hey, do you provide this service? Which they did. It actually was in the name of their business. And this person just, I don't know if it was nervous, but just said no and hung up. And we were able to, with call tracking, able to show the owner and say, when they were saying, hey, the calls aren't really coming in. And so, well, here's what's happening when they're bringing this in. So this is another one of those things that can be a solution to a multitude of problems in your processes in your business, just by having call tracking enabled. You get to hear your people, how they interact with customers on the phone. And you also get to put an ROI, and you get to put numbers to your ad spend and see where that money's going.
Right.
All right. Good with the optimization.
So, JC, you want to, anything else that we might have missed? Any questions that you can think of? Ben, just as a recap of all of it.
As far as the setup phase, if they, if somebody is never, they are watching this and hopefully they get inspired to set up a LSA account, and they go through the steps, and it could be overwhelming, but just take your time, but my one suggestion would be, if you get stuck anywhere, there is LSA support. Unfortunately, you used to be able to call them and they'd pick up the phone, but now so much of what Google services is using AI, and they'll send you the prompts, but at least it'll point you in the right direction.
Right.
Whether it's, for example, you submit your IIC certification, it doesn't go through. Sometimes what happens is if you submit your certification for just as an individual, but not for the entire company, then you'll have to do it where, you contact support. They'll send you an email to confirm that you're a user on this account. Then you send it to them, and then they'll go ahead and submit it. Then it'll go through. So, but you don't want to, and I've seen this happen so many times. You don't want to let that one step, whether it's certification, proof of insurance, background check, like get in the way, because I was starting a restoration company today, and I had limited, funds. LSA would be one of the first things I would set up, then a Google business profile. But you need both of them to, for it to work. So just, take your time, go through all the steps, and just don't get frustrated as far as, oh, I did it, then, it's not working. And, but just go through. It's pretty self-explanatory, as far as everything that it's just lined out.
Yeah, it's great. And there's one thing, talking about the app, and one thing that I'm just noticing on the slide deck here is, you manage everything through the app. It might make things a little bit easier for you because you archive, book, dispute, add notes, ask for reviews right from one spot, so you're not bouncing around trying to do 100 different things. So,
Right.
Again, we're going to make this deck available on the website. I'm going to throw the link up now, and we're going to jump into a little bit of a roundtable, guys, because we have some questions. If you guys are okay answering them, we've got some questions about LSA, some struggles that people have, and then there's some things that you guys actually submitted. And one of the things we like to do here, if you're looking for the link, if you're just listening to this, head to our website, ironcladrestorationmarketing.com/LSA-quick start. So this deck is available to you. At the end, there's contact information in there. If you want to talk to Yaz or talk to JC about this, talk to me about it. We have a whole team here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing that, we like to call ourselves experts because we're in the trenches. These, especially JC and Yaz, are in the trenches every day, staying on top of the algorithm updates, staying on top of our clients. Right now, listen, Google Ads and all of the lead gen companies, it's a struggle right now. And this kind of stuff happens. It was a very slow Q1 for a lot of people. Ads weren't running. So having a marketing agency or experts that are helping you out with these things are imperative. If you're going to spend the money, you make sure that you're using people that have a track record in this type of work for your industry, which we do here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing. It's in the name, right? We only work with restoration contractors. So I feel like we have a little bit of an up and up. We talk about this all the time. If you had a flood in your house, would you call a handyman or would you call a water remediation specialist, right? We're in the same business here when we're talking about digital marketing. So you can give us a call if you have questions, 855-976-3759. And again, in-house with our team here, we handle everything from your web design, web conversions, SEO, Google Business Profile Management, maps, rankings, pay-per-click marketing, including LSA, and website design, like I said before. So let's take this deck out of the way so we look at your beautiful faces a little bit more and listen to your voices. So I got a few things. So one of the things we do here on the podcast, and I know you guys never listen to me because you're tired of hearing me in the day-to-day anyways, but if you realize one of the things I want to do when people listen to these episodes is I want them to be able to take away something actionable. Okay. And especially when it comes to LSA, because we're talking big numbers here, it's $90 to $300 per lead. Well, that's a lot of money. It's not something to scoff at. So what I want to do between the both of you, and you can divvy it up, I want to identify and kind of call out some of the most common problems and mistakes you guys have seen in your experience here. JC, 6 years running LSA, Yaz, quite a few years here, and more so lately, diving into this LSA as it becomes more prominent and more lucrative for our clients. Talk about some of the most common mistakes, and I'll let you guys figure out who wants to do it. And then after that, we're going to kind of sum this up. I'm going to ask a few questions, but I would love to have you guys walk us through a handful of actionable items we can do to our clients or anybody that's listening to this can do to improve their LSA results. Take it away. Who's going first?
So for me, it's about responsiveness. It's about not set it and forget it. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's critical. If you set it up, if you go through the process and you download the app, answer to it. Answer to the calls, answer to the messages, archive them, book them, dispute them if necessary, follow up with the dispute. Did you receive that money? All these ROIs you will be able to actually quantify if you have the app with you, if you see how many leads you got. And why is that critical? Because the more responsive you are, not just you're going to show up on the first page and on the first results and above everybody else, but Google will keep giving you more leads. So the more you respond, the more they're going to give you and the more you're going to show up. So that's what we want. We want the phones ringing, right? So for me, that's the most important part.
So
JC, what do you think?
a common thing is people just not following up, people not being responsive on their ad. I mean, and that sounds crazy to everybody out there, but I've heard way crazier things. So make sure you're staying up on the responsiveness. It's super important. JC, what is a really big common problem that you see with LSA?
So on the flip side is when they're not getting, enough calls. So reviews, and you're going to hear us, Yaz has to talk to our clients probably every single conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Google reviews not only impact your LSA ad rank, it helps with your Google Map ad rank. More importantly, social proof.
Yes.
If you shop on Amazon and if you see a product that's $20 with 5 reviews versus another product that's 25, but they have 500 reviews, 9 out of 10 times they're going to buy that product with more reviews. So this is it's 2024. You can't just say we're the best thing, we're the best, go with us. No, people want to see. And the good thing is about Google reviews now, they've gotten so good as far as, I know it was a little shaky up until about a year ago where so many Google reviews were not legit reviews, were not sticking. Now it's actually, I don't even remember the last time, Yaz, correct me if I'm wrong, that one of our clients mentioned our customers left review. It's not sticking. I haven't heard that in a while. Have you?
1 out of 100. We actually reported it and it got taken down very, very quickly because they identified it as a negative. So we're fine.
But
It's a lot more better.
We used to hear it all the time. I'm like, come on, Google, come on, get it together already.
Yeah, they let the spam reviews stick and fake reviews stick, and then when you get a legitimate review, they're like, we're not going to put that one up. Well, and Yaz, you made a comment earlier today. And I want to talk about this too because the future's coming, and every minute we go by, we're in the future a little bit more and more. But I do want to talk about that in the future, so we'll save it. But they're letting their AI kind of look at a lot of that, and I think at part of the training process is we all get to be guinea pigs. All you guys that are out there spending all this money get to be the guinea pig, just like with SEO and Google Maps and all the other modalities on Google. But again, I'm not paid by Google. I wish I was, but I'm not going to defend them because they frustrate me just like they frustrate everybody else, or Google does, or whoever it is. They're really legitimately everything they do, and they're a business, they need to make money, but everything they do is to legitimize your business to be able to deliver the most pertinent relative results to their user base as possible. And the beautiful thing about being in the home services industry, like the restoration industry, is you have the chance to deal with people that have an immediate need for your services. So ranking your website number 1 in the organic section for all of the keywords that you want to rank for in the areas you want to do, having strong maps rankings, which is dealt with proximity and all the other things we talk about in the podcast. We're going to have an upcoming maps a roundtable pretty soon with some of the other team members. And then leveraging Google ads, not just LSA, but leverage Google ads too, the regular search text ads, because there's a place for all of it. And if you have all of that real estate on page 1, you're going to have a much better chance of getting those people coming in. And just to piggyback on JC, the social proof, right? Reviews don't only help with your ad rankings. So, hey, it's going to save you money. They don't help. They don't only help with getting you more preference on your rankings levels, but it's a conversion element, right? People are going to use people who have better or more Google reviews. And we say it a lot. Don't sacrifice if you're afraid of getting bad reviews, and that's why you're not asking everybody. Ask everybody. Don't sacrifice 50 good Google reviews for 1 bad one, because everybody's going to get a bad Google review. There's not a single company on the planet, unless they're cherry picking, that's going to get perfect every single time. Every single homeowner is different. Every property manager is different. Identifying those pain points beforehand is going to help you out a lot. And we've talked about that a lot in these episodes. But get those Google reviews. And if that isn't enough to convince you for them, when you listen to episodes and we're talking to brokers who sell and buy restoration businesses, that's one of the biggest things they're looking for. What is more attractive of a company? A company that has 500 4.4 star ranking, or a company that has 5-star reviews? What would look more attractive to a hedge fund that's coming in to buy up a company? Obviously, the one with more reviews. So make sure you're doing that. It's going to save you money, and it's going to help you convert more of those eyeballs into sales.
And the other thing, important piece when it comes to Google reviews is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And Yaz can attest to this in terms of, if they fall off, and it's getting like that much more, um, you know, um, specific in terms of, if we see their LSA ad ranks start to drop, and then, I'll ask Yaz, like, when's the last time they got a Google review? Oh, it's been like over a month. I'm like, and we know they've gotten, quite a few jobs. And then all of a sudden, as soon as they get that Google review, boom, their LSA ad rank like shoots up like almost immediately within a day, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's better to be consistent with it. It's better to have, ideally, my number is 1 Google review a week. That's the golden number, so to speak. Because like if they wait until the end of the month to ask for the reviews and they get 4, yes, you're gonna see it immediately. But then what are you gonna do with the other 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So ideally, just be organized about it and ask for the reviews once a week at least. It's ideal.
Ask everybody, right? So we don't want to turn this into the Google review roundtable. We've had like 1,000. It's funny. Every episode we do, not us here, but I do with other guests. We always go back to reviews. Consistency is important for everything you're doing with your business, and I can't stress enough the processes. So recap the common mistakes you guys see all the time. Just to hammer it home again is the set it and forget it, right? Not only are you not going to climb into rankings, you're not going to get very good results out of your LSA if you set it and forget it. If you're using another agency or third party to manage LSA, really get a good, clear understanding on what their process is to optimize and manage your LSA. Management means management, not I'm going to set it up for you and I'm going to set it up. What's your budget? All right, leave me alone. Give me my fee every month. It's a real management. So it's a full-time job. So if you're doing it yourself, good luck. It's absolutely 100% doable. You should get a really clear understanding. I'm a huge proponent of learning these things before you hire anybody to do it for you. So set it, forget it. Don't do that. The other thing is
and download the app. Always download the app and maintain it there on the spot.
That's an easy way to manage your stuff yourself, right? And you can dispute. And again, just to go back to this, the way you rank better with your LSA is how quickly you respond, you archive, you dispute, and you close out the jobs and get reviews. That are all of those things combined are going to help your ad rank higher than everybody else. So when you're not getting those calls in and you can't figure it out why, and then you get on a phone with your account manager from the digital marketing agency, like, all right, well, how many reviews did you guys get last month in your 30 jobs that you got? And you're like, none. Well, what can we, you can only do so much. So those things are super key important to make sure that you're handling. Another big common mistake that people have are not staying on top of disputing those bad leads. And I think that goes back into the responsiveness and then not getting enough reviews. All right, cool. So we've got 3 things that you guys are seeing this kind of stuff a lot, right? For when we get a new client in that's been managing their LSA or somebody else has been, those are the biggest problems you guys have seen. Is there anything else that we're missing?
Keeping up with the violations, keeping up with the photos, upload more photos, things like that. Okay. If you have a new location, add a new location. So same thing is part of the responsiveness, part of the maintenance of the actual overall LSA. So yeah, the more you're active on it, the better results you're going to get.
And in general terms, right, that's probably true for a lot of the things. You have to be present. You can't just have your head in the sand, right? Even if you're hiring somebody and they're the best in the world, you should have some sort of idea of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Now let's switch gears, right? I'm in South Florida right now. You guys actually, Yaz, you're in Florida right now too. You're not in Colorado. So you can probably hear the thunder and lightning that's happening. I'm in the office right now. I think everybody's getting scared and leaving pretty soon. I can hear the thunder. The windows are rattling, but I have my do not disturb on my door. So they'll probably just leave me in here to die in the storm. But it is cat season, right? We're getting into hurricane season in South Florida. And as we move through the fall, cat season is going to start affecting some of the Northeast places. What are some differences as far as your management go during cat season that maybe you can provide some insight on? Because I would imagine that you're going to probably need a little bit more touch points when it comes to your LSA during these storms or catastrophic events.
Right. If you started with a budget and I
Yeah,
was telling you just increase it, if you know the storm is coming,
sure.
if you know that they're going to need not just the water pump, but also the mold in the slow season, you can do the frozen pipes within the cold season out there. You don't know where our clients are going to come from, and they have to, they know specifically their seasons, but they have to be aware if these storms are coming up. So you can be proactive about it and change those numbers. If you want to be more competitive, obviously put more budget into it for that week, for that month, after the storm, whatever you think it's best, because you know your industry. The way that we can guide you is one thing, but the way that you know it and you can see it and you can taste it is totally different. So that combination is going to be the key element to when it comes to any storm.
Yeah, and also on the flip side, we've seen cases where all of a sudden there's like a big um, flooding, and they get an influx of calls like back to back, and that's where they really have to be on top of their game, LSA game, to make sure that okay, if our team can only handle intake of X amount of you know um, leads for a certain day, and those leads are once they come, it's like nonstop. They better
Yep.
put it on pause because you're going to get charged.
Yeah.
And we've seen people get hit potentially thousands of dollars within one day because they were just busy. But we get that. But that's one thing they need to again, on the upside, to make sure it's a good problem to have, but you don't want it to get out of hand as far as if you can't handle more than Google sends you.
Yeah, so that's really valuable. I know we just submitted, we just wrote a big article for CNR magazine, sorry, about this in general, and that was a really interesting point to really make sure, because sometimes you don't think about it, right? You get so busy, you get caught up in the day to day. You're like, damn, my phone's ringing. Hell, is awesome. Know your bandwidth. Know how many projects you can handle. Having a solid project manager, having these high-level meetings every morning with your team and your crew to understand what's really going on, and not just for cat season, which it's a time, because that's when, like JC said, a big influx of calls are going to come in from LSA. Make sure you pause it. Make sure you know, hey, once we hit this certain point, we're going to shut it down. We've had clients in the past, the hurricanes a few years ago now, it's been times flying out in the Mississippi area that would run Google ads specifically in that area, and we'd get a phone call on, JC or the account manager at the time would get a phone call Friday night at like 9 p.m. like, shut the ads down. We can't take anymore. And that just shows you the different. Or we have clients on the other side that come to us and say, well, we spent $10,000 in a day and had no idea, and we only closed like 4 of those jobs because they did not have their fingers on the pulse of what they could handle, and they didn't pause their ads and take it down until they're ready to go. So that's the cool thing about pay-per-click marketing in general, is you can start it and stop it however you want. But yes, I know I can see you moving your mouth, because another thing you need to take into consideration about the pausing part, because what can happen when you pause your campaign too much?
Exactly. When the algorithm hits and you're getting all these jobs, you're getting busy. Okay, you paused it. Fantastic. You get busy, you finish the jobs, you clean everybody out. Fantastic. And then you forget to restart it. So do it within not more than 10 days.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you forget it, like it could happen like in a month, and it's going to be like starting over.
Starting from scratch,
So it could affect also the way that it's going to start ramping up again the leads. It could take all the way to 2 months. I've seen it when they stop it and they say, oh my God, I forgot to turn it back on. It's like, why would you do that? Okay, so that's why we have to have the communication. That's why I'm giving you all these thoughts, because not more than 10 days, it won't affect as bad.
Yeah. And listen, and I want to piggyback off that too, because there's another point to that I think everybody out there should hear. If you don't have the budget and runway to run these ads with a specified budget, and I know Yaz and JC are really good at working with our clients and talking about, okay, well, here's what you're going to need to spend. Can you do that for 6 months? If you don't have that runway to do it for 6 months, it's probably not a good time to start doing that, because it's just like SEO, or I'll make it even easier. It's like working out, right? January 1st hits and you're like, all right, it's time to get my beach body ready for June, going down to Florida, going to the beaches, and you work out. for a few months. You get your goal and you get to a stage, and then you stop for the whole entire summer, all the way through the winter. And then next January comes, like, crap, I got to get my beach body ready again. And you're like, wow, I'm right back to square one. So that's the one thing we talk about a lot in the No Bullshit Guide to Internet Marketing. When we do that planning in January and run that big long 2-hour webinar, or I'm doing it in person, is making sure you understand what your numbers are. Because the last thing you want to do, and this is a common mistake we see with a lot of restorers out there, if you're listening to this, you may even be guilty of this yourself, but it's bouncing around, starting and stopping from agency to agency. The reality of this is, I can't reiterate this enough. And if agencies are selling you on services, or some marketing director that you've hired in your company is selling you on anything other than that, run the other way. But the reality is, it can take 3 to 6 months to a year to let your SEO rank you well, especially in really saturated areas, right? So you have that. And if you start SEO for 3 months and then you stop it and you're not doing anything and you're waiting for another agency to ramp up, you're never going to get to that point. It's starting and stopping. It's going to the gym on a Monday, going to Cheesecake Factory on Tuesday, going to the gym on Thursday, going out and getting chicken wings on Friday. And again, I'm walking you through my normal week. But same thing with Google Ads, same thing with your Google Business Profile Management. Again, it goes back to what Yaz said. That word is consistency. Whatever you're going to do, educate yourself on these services, the lead time and what it takes to achieve success and get you to the goal that you want, and make sure that you have the processes and systems in place in your company to be able to facilitate that. Make sure you have the budget to be able to facilitate that. And make sure you're ready for the long haul. SEO is a garden that you're growing of leads. Pay-per-clicks going to the grocery store. But if you've got no money, grocery store is not going to give you many groceries. So you got to really keep all this stuff in mind and be consistent with your marketing efforts. Don't get shiny new object syndrome. I think we got like a 45-minute part of the presentation which talks about that, where you're like, oh, I'm going to try this. Or you go to a convention, or you go to a trade show, and there's somebody there like, offering you some sort of software that's going to get you ranked on Google. Like, that stuff doesn't work. There's no magic bullet that gets you ranked on Google at all. It takes what we talk about, what's in the book, and how we do our clients, all the stuff that we leverage to help our clients get leads. And it's not always going to be a home run. You have to understand that this is a big picture, long game, right? So you got to make sure that you at least understand what it's going to take to get you there. So when it comes to LSA, it's just as true as anything else. Pause it when you're making too much money. That's a good thing. But don't stop because your cash flow is not good. You don't have enough good, you don't have a handle on your finances, because you're just throwing money out the window, right? You're going to get a few leads here and there, but you're probably never going to be happy, and you're not going to get to that point where you need to go. So enough about that. I've got a few questions for you guys. Before we wrap this up, I think we did a really nice job here. Overview of what it takes, what LSA is, the difference between LSA and Google Ads. The setup process, Yaz, was really awesome. You've got to get your background check done. Make sure you're linking it to your Google Business Profile. Make sure you're uploading your licenses. Make sure your certificate of insurance is going there. It has all your proper name and your address and all these things out there. Use photos, authentic images. Don't take a look at the terms and conditions of the photo violations. Make sure you don't have your phone number. Like, if you put a picture up of one of your work trucks and the phone number's on it, you're going to get a photo violation. So you can take your iPhone and scrub it out with one of those markup features on it if you want, and upload it. But again, authentic images, constant, consistent updating of those profiles is going to get you to rank higher and higher. All right. You guys ready for a couple fastball questions?
Shoot.
All right. Budget. How much money should somebody be spending on average per month in a perfect situation with LSA?
JC, you're better with numbers than I do.
So the budget thing is it's tricky. So it's very LSA budgeting within their platform versus the Google Ads, search text ads, where you're bidding with keywords, are two completely different animals. Meaning, on search text ads, being on keywords, you can set the daily budget to $100 a day. Google's going to spend it, right? Like up to about 98% of the time on any day to day. With LSA, it's tricky, where you have the you can bid on either manual or let Google go ahead and set the as far as per lead. And again, it ranges from, it could be as low as around $90 to as high as 300 in the more competitive markets. And also, we've been testing as far as monthly budgets, like really, smaller, 5,000 a week to 20,000. You can set that super high. Keep common problem that we've seen when we see we have a new client that's already Google guaranteed with their account, that we look at how's that been as far as getting leads, and like they have the budget set, the weekly budget, to like maybe 500 a week. All right, and that strategy does not work for LSA. What you want to do is you want to actually set it fairly high. I would say 5,000, 10,000 a week. And what that's doing now, keep in mind, people initially, when we tell them that, they're like, they get sticker shock, like, whoa, wait a minute. That's like, that's
Yeah.
my budget for the next marketing budget for 6 months.
Right.
So like, no, listen, we're going to monitor this very closely. And what that does, it keeps the bar really high. So this way there's no limits. So do not get scared by seeing the weekly budget set to 10,000 a week. All right.
Yeah, you're not going to spend it.
You're never going to.
You got to think like you're going to set it to $5,000, and all of a sudden, like 3,000 people are going to have flood damage at the same time in your local area. No, cat season, you might want to take that into consideration a little bit more, right? You're probably going to have a little bit of influx of calls, but in general terms, set that bar high. You're not going to eat up that money. Whereas it's different in Google Ads, because we've seen some horror stories, right, with some past clients before they came to us spending like in a
and again, and if I was, open up a restoration company tomorrow, and I had, $5,000 to spend on Google Ads, I would want to spend as much as Google will allow me to do within LSA first.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're only paying for the qualified leads.
Yep.
Then, you put a portion of that, and usually we split it up, as far as the Google Ads, search text ads, bidding on keywords, we'll put a certain amount of budget to help, Yazzle, work with our clients to, get a good mix. If we're not getting enough LSA leads, then we'll beef up the search text ads. Or if there's everything's going, there's a steady flow of LSA leads coming in, just go all in on LSA all day long.
Yeah. And it's funny. I don't know if you're even here right now, but that was my next question. If you had a very limited budget and you were going to start a restoration business right now and you wanted to get leads in, how would you do it? Well, if JC was the man in charge of the money, he would put all that money into LSA initially. But before that, I would say you probably want to set up a Google business profile page, right? And get that verified and optimized, because that's free. You can absolutely do that on your own. And we have a ton of information on how to optimize that and do that. But do that and then dump that money into LSA, because those are calls and leads that are actually coming into your business. That's great. I don't know how you read my mind on that, but that was actually my next question on this.
I would just have my brother-in-law, Hector, who's a plumber, just hook me up. But if you don't have that,
hey, referrals are great, right?
That luxury, then you got to rely on Google. But and that's the other thing. Like, when I talk to, clients, and we just picked up a new client that's been, has over, I think, 60 employees, and they never really did, they were mostly relying on referrals. Referrals are great, but that's a given. You want to have, every channel possible where you can get business that, you want to be able to get, in front of people that need your services, and not limited to just people that, from word of mouth, but that's capitalism, kids.
Well, hey, but again, to go back on it, listen, you got having a business. And I think this is one of the cool things I like about sitting in sessions with the Floodlight Group guys, the consulting agency. They talk about having all these different buckets of leads, and it really melds into our overview, the omni-channel approach, right? You can't rely on any one channel for your business enough, because at some point you're going to get tripped up and that channel is going to be gone. And I always use the example of Facebook. When we were running a lot of Facebook ads during hurricanes and things like that, we'll run Facebook ads for clients here and there. And a few years ago, Facebook and Instagram both went down, right? So if that had happened during a storm down here, anybody that only relied on their Facebook ads for getting leads in were shit out of luck for a day and a half, I think it was. And then they were allowing their AI, because it was a COVID time, to scan all the ads, and they were rejecting everything, right? It was kind of how Google was rejecting reviews. So in general terms, you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. You got to have different buckets, especially if you want to scale. 60 employees is significant. So you have to have a lot of different buckets of leads that you're pulling from, whether you're, people might hate to hear this, but TPA work. You should have a digital marketing pipeline that's coming in via SEO, Google Business Profile, and your Google Ads, Google LSA. You should have somebody out there handing out candy and smiles if you're looking for those kind of relationships. But if you're in the commercial space, you should have dedicated sales reps, boots on the ground, introducing themselves to property managers. getting those referral sources brought in, talking to agencies and things like that. So it's not any one channel. You should use a combination of all of them. And that's why it's important for being consistent and having the ducks in a row with understanding what the big picture is and understanding your numbers and empowering yourself and empowering your employees to understand that you're a sales focused, but you are really just a project management company. So you need to understand all of these things and have all these different buckets, because look, Google's a service. If Google, something happened to a server farm somewhere, something, Google go down like that. So yeah, we do manage Google, that's our bread and butter here. But if it went away, now what are you going to do? Right. So you need to make sure that you have a lot of different buckets of lead sources coming in here. And if you're a newbie just starting out, again, like JC mentioned, get on Google, make sure you have a good device responsive website. We talk about this all the time, the big three. Get your Google business profile set up and optimized. That's free. You can do that yourself. Right? It's a full-time job, but you know what? If you're an entrepreneur, you already know what it's like to burn the candle at both ends. So you got to be on it. Get Google reviews on every single job that you can. Make sure that you are running Google Ads if budget permits, but understand the big picture and make sure that you have a runway to do so. So I think that's awesome. You guys really, this was a cool roundtable. Did you guys enjoy yourselves this time? Since it wasn't as bad as you guys were making it sound like it was going to be when I was asking you to come on.
One other thing I want to add to that, Ben, is
no.
His photos. All right. Too many times, especially when we get a new client, they got to take, you got to take photos of before, during, and after jobs, pictures of your team, your equipment. We hate having to use stock photos. If you see it on our websites, because the client never had them, you're going to use it for not only if, we design your website, but you need it for LSA, Google business profile. You need it for social media, and have a good representation of the types of services you guys, that you provide.
Yeah.
If it's, if you want to try to get some more fire damage and smoke jobs, show representation of that. If you do commercial work, especially, I have a lot of clients that, say, they want to, show a prospect that they do, they service hotels or, restaurants. Show your team servicing those big establishments, not just like, oh, here's a bullet point. We do, we service, retail. No, they want to see physical proof and video. So photos, please.
Yeah, if you want to just use this, the rule of thumb is think about your Instagram, right? You're not going to post a bunch of, if somebody is managing your social media profiles and they have posted something about National Waffle Day or something like that on your restoration business, stop it. So I know I'm really interested in waffles. I love it, but it's not doing you any favor. So the bigger point is post content, post photos, write blogs, optimize your website, optimize your Google business profile for things that you want to rank for on Google. All right. If you want water damage restoration jobs, commercial, right? Some people, hey, we don't touch residential, and I can completely relate to not wanting to do that. But if you're only commercial and your website's just got a bunch, the classic picture, I wish I had it saved here, but the classic picture of the guy looking up at the water coming out of his roof, or the one where the lady's holding the bucket up and on the phone, like everybody has that. So you have a really unique opportunity if you want to be authentic, because I think the numbers recently, and it hasn't come out in 24 yet, but 23 and 22, I think there was something over 80% of these companies, your competitors, aren't optimizing for local search for these types of things. Think about that. They're either bouncing around from company to company, or they just don't care, or they set it and forget it, or their head's in the sand and they're using stock photos. Take authentic pictures. This is a culture thing for your company. You should be having all of your reps, all of your techs, your project managers, whatever size company you have, that relative taking pictures and documenting everything that you do, because it's you're able to make the number 1 equal 5. And I'm not a math guy. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in this regard. You can syndicate that content, right? So you take a photo of a before and after of a flood that you helped in a huge hotel, and your bread and butter is going into hotels, or if it's churches or whatever on the commercial side, and you're taking that document, that image, that media, and it's going on your website, on a blog, talking about the job. That same photo is going up on your Google business profile as social proof. That same photo is going into your LSA account as saying, hey, here's a before and after of what we've done. You throw it up on LinkedIn, you throw it up on Instagram, it goes on Facebook, it goes on Twitter, on TikTok, everywhere. You've taken one photo and you've repurposed it for 7 or 8 different channels that are all going to add to your bucket of what we want to call authority. Right. So when people, not only is it going to help the algorithm and help you rank when you're doing things like managing your Google business profile, your LSA or your website, but now people are able to see that, hey, this company can resolve my problems. If you're going after residential work only and you have a beautiful, if you're in a recon, right, I'll use that as an example because they're the lucky ones. They get to leave the house. I mean, they get a lot of nitpicking, I'm sure, but they get to leave the brand new kitchen, or they get to leave the brand new bathroom or living room, or God forbid, a total loss on a fire and they're putting back a house. Like, that's an amazing photo to show. And it really, you got to understand, it goes down to understanding who your target client is. And when you do that, you'll understand what their pain points are and you address that with your media. It's as easy as pulling your phone out and taking a picture and not overthinking it. So I don't want to get too far down a rabbit hole of that because I can philosophically go on for hours. I know we're probably a little over an hour right now. I know you guys got a lot of work to do. Your phones are probably blown up like mine have. But listen, I want to thank you both for coming on today. Everybody, we're in a new season here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing and the Restoration Rundown podcast. I'm going to be dragging JC, Yaz, Nikki, a bunch of the other team members on here a lot to talk about all of the things that people are struggling with digital marketing. I've got experts in every field, and it's beautiful for me because I get to learn, you get to learn, and you also get to meet the team here at Ironclad and know that it's not just me sitting behind this camera talking in my office down in West Palm Beach, guys. So thank you so much for coming on today. I'm going to let you guys turn you guys loose. I think we got a lot of value out of there with the LSA. If anybody has any specific questions, feel free to reach out to us. I'm going to throw our contact info back up here, ironcladrestorationmarketing.com. You can reach us right now. You can call JC at 855-976-3759 because one call is all it takes to take your company to the next level. JC and Yaz, love you. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that is it. Thank you for tuning in to this very special, very first LSA roundtable team at Ironclad. Again, if you're struggling with anything when it comes to digital marketing, specific at LSA or anything that comes to marketing your business or visibility, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to have a conversation with you. There's no strings attached. Take a look at what you're doing. Take a look at what you got going on and help you through your problems. Again, I want to reiterate, I am going to be speaking live in Las Vegas, September 4th, 8:30 a.m. at the Experience Convention and Trade Show. If you want to catch me live running through my no bullshit guide to internet marketing, get a ticket to the experience. I'd love to hang out, chop it up a little bit in Vegas. I'm going to be plugging that on every episode because I want to fill that room with as many restorers out there that are struggling with digital marketing as possible so we can help you out. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the LSA Roundtable. This is Ben with Ironclad Restoration Marketing signing off. We'll talk to you soon.